I don't know. I'd say 15, maybe.
15, yeah.
Maybe more. I think people like this is last opportunity for this class, yeah. So it's important.
Yeah, that's true.
15-20 minutes maybe for question answers. I only have 6 questions.
Okay, Hector, I can start. Camera di kitchen machine in the camera that does my dish give the woman and I can't do the chemical curious in the camera the kitchen machine the days are another camera chever my camera parents and so labja can you in the happy labja the two labs and you and you camera chever my career to go the career garden in a chinna Lumba de la Descent Lumba team keyboard and I say Campo Chesney, Campo team the Jimmy keyboard or the La Carbilla to the near.
So I sense the taking refuge or going for refuge is one of the most important part of our practices. That's really really important for even all Buddhist traditions. And the value of such understanding the in-depth of the refuge is very valuable. For that reason, I want to offer as much as I can to give you a good understanding of the, like a basic. I'm sure you already had a great knowledge on that, but I still try to emphasize. We hope that you may find more beneficial. That's why I spend quite a chunk of time on refuge. So having discussed about the nature of refuge and the reasons for going for refuge, the benefit of refuge, the next one is a precept or advice of refuge. So in the precept or the advice of the refuge, you have 2 parts. One is what we should avoid, having received a refuge, individuals, and what we should really restrain ourselves. And then on the other hand, this is the first session. The second advice, what we should actually do, having received a refuge, and what we should do. So there are 2 parts of advice.
Camera Chesane, Gabi Labjala Harasunior Sena, Sagi Kuncho, like Capsule Drod Sane, that should be allowed to the Capsule Drochu Marasun. Gimse Harasena, Nasagi Caron like Capsugi, that Teleshembeta, how to the Capsugi Messene, so the Kelena Mother Chesare, the Chevayana, Sosola, Gula Camlo Tumba in Bayana, Camlo de Tumbu Resene. Number of the Major Kinja Verapena, Charges in the Tomba Lenere, Tanda Guinea, Tomba, so the Kelly Chewu to us. The Kelly de Gesona, Tene, Coloton and Yavaju to us. 텐데스 손자 산지 좀데 라제데라 카르스나 산지 군조라 잡수 드네 아니 군조 단다 치르베 타도도 잡수 도추고 말에 스니 어디에 손한테 가비 라제레 스니.
So the first part of the precept or advice, having received a refuge in three jewels, the first part of advice is to avoiding what should we avoid or what should we seize. And the first one is to do not take refuge in a non-Buddhist like object, meaning beings. This is because we generated this refuge saying, I will take refuge in Buddha until full enlightenment. And until full enlightenment, only we wanted to rely on Buddha to attain that enlightenment. As a result, by taking refuge in non-Buddhist beings, you may be diverted from that track. And that way, one of the most important advices: do not take refuge in other non-Buddhist beings, or I don't know how to say non-Buddhist, or object of worship, or whatever. This is because whatever we do, we always have to have this kind of a rule and certain restrictions when we take bodhicitta and make the commitment to help all sentient beings. And then if we do things which is contradicting to that principle, we create, if you like, a sin, almost like a sin, or what you call we create fault. Likewise, when we take refuge in Buddha, and then if we abandon that and taking refuge in other non-Buddha quality beings, we also accumulate negative karma. For that reason, it advises us not to take refuge in non-Buddhist like object of worship.
단 진짜 그래서 다 산초군주라 접수는 심절라 뇌세 방으로 수행돼서 딱 가빌라제 되시래. 심절라 뇌세방 초 가래 있나 강다칸 있나 아니 다 산지지 고방 다 톱이 탑 맡은 바 자원이네 매발해서 산지지 고방 때문에 탑된라 아니 산지 고방 주변으로 저 심지 탐지기 듣는 산지 고방 두기에 있으니 챌린지 치고 그랬어요. 대체 심지 탐지기 듣는 산지 고방 두기에 심지라 대화 지기 있으니 챌린지 지기 심지라 뇌세 쳐봐이나 아니 잠들 납치지 개발해서
The second precept of refuge is to avoid harming other sentient beings. Because remember, right from the beginning, we said we take refuge until a full enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings. That was the pledge we made. Now, if you try to harm other sentient beings, it's contradicting what you promised before. And as a result, by taking refuge in Dharma, this is the second advice, is by taking refuge in Dharma, you made a pledge that from now on you are not going to harm any sentient beings.
Tene gindi kunjo la kyap su drone ta iye chok nyamba shenda pangore senero kanjile gindi kunjo di kyap drube dadro rawa kyap drube sozoge dawo chokbo tsangma yinza chok nyamba da droba yinba yina ani gindi kunjo la kyap su drube labja da ge droba yinza ta dina diyu maare sene kakbi labja dile sen ta bena kuma nyamduru na kuma chawa na chawa nyamduru na chawa chana chok nyamba di rawa digbi chokbo 나서 산지 쯤에 대해 가르치고 있잖아. 나 빅비 초보 따도 방자시 제비 초보 따가 템버차 송도 왔으니 어디 딱 인도 군주가 잡수 존에 존에 바 빅비 초보다 방고래 했으니 어디에 숨쉬었으니.
So the third advice of avoidance is having taken refuge in Sangha, that we avoid a negative influence, a negative friend. And this is because through the influence of the negative friend and community, you engage in a negative action. And the Buddha saw this right from the beginning. So he constantly advised his followers, having taken refuge in Buddha and Sangha, you should avoid negative community or environment or support, because they can, we are easily influenced. And when we are with a good friend, our good qualities also shine and nurture. When we're with a negative influence and a negative friend, our negative qualities also kind of be nurtured. And to avoid that, and Buddha advised that having taken refuge in three jewels, that we avoid negative friends or any negative influence coming from the people. So these are the three precepts of avoidance, like the three things that we should avoid.
Sanje konjo la kyapsu duna khare gore sena namba sanje ba chugure sen dubela ja jikdi re sen tene phyen pau to me ba yore sen ro so so la ta sonam ju so de shi yo so pau to ma ba sang re sen tene chö konjo la kyapsu duna khare sungor sena chö konjo di kyap mo yin sa chö konjo la kyapsu duna so so yo golam khang ju la ke yi phyen yore sen ro godu konjo la kyapsu duna a chonyam ba pa ne ta kyab drubi ge sanje ko ba drubi ge ta daro chewa insa ta drubi la ja din sa re se ne ti na ne ja ma so sanje chö gyundu ta sanje ge ma so sanje chumde de mo so da je to yo ma ina ya sanje chumde de mo so je wa la la so so la ma ge wi shi je bo re ro so so ge sa yo la ma su do sun de sa yo la ma de sanje tham je dubi tan do ma so sanje tham je dubi go da je zimbe mo ni so ma na je sanje ko na sanje tham khala lama ko na sanje tham je dubi mo yin sa khola kyap su do yin ba na ani lama yi dom sanje chasam chasam na ta kyap su do da khoran de kusap so ra cha de re se ne ro o tin za khoran na kyap su do da de je ngu re se ne tin za chö kun chö di khain sa na kyap mo yin so de khar sa na ma so ta sanje kun chö ju ku de la ta wanda sanje kun chö ku de la sanje mo ju du she sha wo re se ne ro sanje mo ma yi san ne o da damba yi ta de da seri gi re no dubela je na shita dubela ta dubela je mangbo je ne do do shi je sanje kun chö di kyap mo yin da kar sa na sanje mo ju du she sha wo kar sa na kan sa na sanje mo su ma je na sanje mo yin ba du she sam lo tang bo re se ne kan sa go ku re ko ran ki je shi dong ma din de sam lo tang ba yin na tin ma so ni mi pao tu me ba tanda 참명 아니나네 맞아 디송고도 한다 나 가자 티시시비 콜라 예생지 착충하라 이디 티시 산지지 콜라다 셈번 님버지 온이다 til라서 뭐 shum바이나 참이길래 똑좀 뭐 치고 사고도 와서네 대사 콜라 산지 문제 두시샤고 전에 지금 이래샤서네
So the second part of the advice of the refuge is what we should do. First we talk about what we should avoid. Second thing is what we should really take up. And so it talks about by taking a refuge in Buddha, we become Buddhist. So I think it's like what we should do. What is accomplished through taking refuge? The second part, like having taking the refuge, what comes with it. And the first thing is by taking refuge in Buddha, we become Buddhist. And so we chose a correct path. Secondly, by taking refuge in Buddha constantly, we are accumulating merits and also wisdom. We are generating both the merit as well as wisdom. And also by taking refuge in Dharma, that we really already started on the path of cessation, because Dharma is the actual refuge, or the object of the refuge. And so once you enter Dharma, and by practicing and so on, practicing Dharma, you already started your path of cessation, because you're already entering it, you're doing it. And so that's what you have accomplished by taking refuge in Dharma. And then third one, by taking refuge in Sangha, you already accomplished a kind of the basis of a spiritual friend and community. You already established yourself as a member of the spiritual community, and as a result, the wealth of the knowledge and the support that you receive from the community will be continued. That's, I think, what also comes up what you accomplished by taking refuge in a spiritual friend and community. And so now what we have the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha as the object of true refuge. And so usually we say we take refuge in our Guru. And that's because, as I mentioned before, your Guru is the representative or the embodiment of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas quality. So you see the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas quality in your Guru. And so by taking refuge in Guru, you are taking refuge in all three of them, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And that's what we have. And because we say our Gurus really are there as embodiment of all the good qualities of all three of them, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And for that reason, we consider it's very important to take refuge in Guru right at the beginning, at the start. And this will then, we will be blessed with all the good qualities of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha through our Guru. And then also as part of the advice for the taking refuge in Buddha, Geshe-la reminded that we should consider all the statues of the Buddha, and you should have the attitude of Buddha himself. When you see the image and the object of a Buddha statue, you shouldn't really kind of be careless, but you really should cultivate of as a respect you would show to a real Buddha. And by doing that, you would also accumulate merit and so on. And you also know when the Buddha is talking about the most grave sins or the negative karmas that a Buddhist can ever generate, is the five kind of the five atomic
heinous deeds.
Yes. What's the hand?
Heinous.
Yes. The five heinous deeds. One of them was really abusing the Buddha statue with a wrong intention. Not mentioning about harming Buddha, but by harming a Buddha statue, you accumulate such serious negative deeds. And for that reason, the Buddhists are advised to show respect to the image and the statue of Buddha and consider that the real Buddhas and its qualities there when you see such an object.
다 산지 이끌어진데 산지 뭐지 두제 샤고거든나 아주 최대라니 최근저 뭐만 있으니 두제 샤고에 개청 보시면 되시겠습니다. 디 마샤와이나 아주 최디 아주 일단 나자 타이지 메모가 최대도 왔으니로 단다 예 야세시와라 이 드르베 동을 면치고 대화탄지 주면 때문에다 꼴드나 제대인 드르베 동을 면디 드르베 동을 세워지 면디 최근저리 샤스니 대장아서 최근적 유라케베 탄다나 맞아 탄다시 최기 돌린 제디 뭐네 란줄라케베 탄다 람데 란줄케베 탄다 칼리 자와인자 아따 최대라이 맞아 최근적이 두세인지 이제 샤고도 세네로 쇼진에 가서 겨워도 쇼진에 가서 디고도 디고 사데와이나 앞편도 캐면도 와세네 때마다 좀 많이 받다가도 배반나래 하는데 배제됐다 뭐네잖아 그 최근적 뭐마디르다 최근적 뭐네 뭐네 콜라 최근적 두세 샤고도 했으니 배제돼 가고가서 되는 추본기 내년 것이고 사이니까 배신 거에 됐으니 디나마도 이제 사사치고 캐나도 좀 많이 봐 배반 나와야 되는데 하고 이번에 진행하는 데에 됐으니 남바도 좀 많이 배치봐야 나 단에 손들이 배제다 인지미제 짜증 못 지네 맞아 이 디용데 이게 바람지에 산지에 강라 최든 디용도 송체 되는 스고체 되는 막 디용으로 하세요 대가에서는 최대 짜증 못 되면서 매일 맞아 최대로 왔으니 인지미제 캐나도 사서체의 개심을 해서는 지면은 초본길에 똑신 것이고 초본길로 똑신 것사나 되는 개발의 기업을 운영하는 연구사에서 니지미제 사서 나오고 지했습니다.
And then second, having talked about how we should have a proper attitude toward statues and image of Buddha, we should treat as Buddha himself. We should do the same thing for our Dharma. Because we said the Dharma is the actual refuge. And so we have Dharma is like a medicine, as Shantideva mentioned in his way of Bodhisattva, that Dharma, the medicine for curing all the afflictions and so on. And Shantideva made it very clear how precious Dharma is. Dharma is like a medicine for a patient, for a afflicted, a person. And so, from that kind of a context, we should regard Dharma as the actual, the real refuge, and see it as the medicine for curing our affliction and so on. And so, to have a proper attitude, we should even consider the Dharma text, like the text about the Dharma as also, the precious, object of refuge. We shouldn't really be careless about it. We shouldn't really, throw them away, or shouldn't be disrespectful about the Dharma text. If we did, then we're also committing negative deed, very severe negative deed. And when you go to a Buddhist temple and you see the scripture and the sutras on first layer of shell, and beneath that you will see the Buddha statue. And this is like representing how precious Dharma is. So you would never see the Dharma text beneath the statue. The text always go above the statue. And it's kind of representing how important the Dharma is, how precious Dharma is. For that reason, when you possess the sutras, the scriptures, and the text, the Dharma text, you should really be respectful and consider this as a holy object. You should have the similar attitude to a statue of Buddha, because you say this is a Buddha. So when you see a Dharma text, that this is a Dharma, the refuge I always go for, and so on.
yin sari kwa samlo tangwa yin nga zo che che la sangi chunde ne ngor zwa sangi sari kudi la tewa je ne nga zo simji juwa ta che ne min do asen simji juwa ta ye ta che la nyam len che ta so la ma je shi ye sum ta de la de lo jong la che de de ne da simji juwa ta ye re ma zo ta ye sangi ye kudi la tewa je ne simji juwa tangwa tam tu ye che ne yo ma re sen de yin za ta che la lo jong chi kare sum de la ta che bar che ne ta simji juwa tangwa ye za che de da so so ye ta dungal 차이기 매 뭐마디 쳐들이 도와서 근데 자치모 맞지와제 소소의 도를 자치모지 이만 아니 디페제디 거기서 유샤와이나 되네 탑도 쉬고 잡아로 왔습니다. 리베상도 땅에 도로디다 텔라 고르선 야 디오시제 페제디 가르치는 유샤와인 바이나 내가 좀 쉬고 차는 뭐도 표방달라 칸데 됐습니다. 이제 사소나 거였습니다.
So I forgot to mention that among the Tibetan community members, they also tend to be very careless about how they treat the text, the religious text. And I often observe how that some members of the Tibetans are how careless they are with the scripture, and I'm very concerned because it's really built up your bhakama if you do that. And I mean, if you look at it from logically, if you kind of use the kind of intelligent to analyze why Dharma above Buddha statue, and if you do some kind of a little bit analytical, sharp investigation, for us as a practitioner, and we cannot be saved by a statue. We cannot be enlightened by a statue. How are we going to attain our enlightenment? Through learning the Dharma and then changing our mind. And how do we learn Dharma? From the text. So the text is actually the actual knowledge, through which, by practicing it, we are able to transform our mind, but not by just looking at a statue. And that's where text is so considered a very sacred object. And as Shantideva mentioned, I also agree with Shantideva here that the Dharma is the actual medicine for a person who's suffering from affliction. And so you consider that as a very sacred object. because through these texts you are getting the proper knowledge and the proper guidance for your enlightenment. So from now on, I urge you to be respectful of the Dharma text if you have at home or here, and consider that as a very sacred object.
당아도 뒤집으면 되는 유유치는 다 어디든지 겸로지는 다 되는 막 인지톤의 얘기도 처럼도 막 로로로 막 따서서의 감도치도 있나 네 제외 가블라마서 이게 칸도 계주치에 다나마서 톱시기 나네 녀복군도 집에 톱 나가 두고 있어야 로 녀복군도 집에 톱
근데 가는 아직도 없어도
녀복군도 집에 탄다 톱텔라 시스니로 아니 로 수인집에 톱 녀복군도 집에 톱 아니 가서 땡기 톱 아니 냐발라 라도비 톱 어디 디시나네 다 녀복군도 집에도 칸도 계주치에 사실 그런 최고로 짜신 보이다 되게 썸을 때느냐 소소이 디코도 샤야라 레로고 디데 고요 살레스니 칸도 쪼치 디레 안티도 소남이소 사야 소남도 소다 이시기소 사야 소소라다 초라 과체마이 소보다 칸도 계주치에 소보 디 살레스니 대자 마이마 튼다 섬로다 때디 튼다 섬셔 칸데치네 제발 칸데스 두고스네 튼다 섬로다 튼도 예자 계란도다 신데 남베갈 이지미지디 섬로다니 데데 숭고이디 계시무슈르샤스니 디젤라니 마이 와들라 단다 가사 맞아 가사 이겨도도 되는데다 이제 맞아 대화치에다 이겨치에다 망쳐왔다 디파샤야 되는라 kenye도 왔으니 아니 단다 캠브로 맞아 대시지 잡사래 캠브로도 땡기도 뭐마디르샤 세네 맞아 디파샤베 걸라 땡기도 비통도 디체와이나 디파샤 렐라고 어디데 인사레신 어디데 유토네 캐나도 신데게지 컨디츠드나 신데게지 치에자는데 되는 마다 소소의 모함이나 지단도 인지미지 모함 맞춰봐야나 맞았다 분바 어서 굽도 연나다 출로거든 지발이 모함이 인지미지 제거래 세네로 아니 뒤져라서나 캐나도 디파라바를 가서 마게 다지 주서지 사람들 돌아빈지 상게 두버시고 숨백하라 되네 맞아 디냐라 준제면나 뒤 대시기와나 다 돌린차와나 디카바 소소 곰 칸도주도 겨 아니 뭐다 많이 예배 걸려 공간도 주도야 안데라 제소리랑치 어디에 채워야나 니링 있다 뭐서 샘디 칼레다 정말 차리고 있어야겠으니 칼레 야기 가서 공부도 줘야 됐다 땡겨 버려야겠으니 이제 니링 맞아 다 깨버다 파자 니링 있다 니 채워야나 샘디 바 짱짱도 이마됐다 샘다 기브도 되는 있어야겠으니 어디에 좀 공부하셔도 지했으니
and so when we do our daily recitation and daily prayer, and there's so many reasons why we are doing these practices. And you remember when we talked about during the mind training session the power of the four powers. One of them is the power of object, and one of them is the power of the antidote. And the daily recitation is the power of antidote for your affliction and the self-grasping mind. Because by doing this like a daily practices, first of all, you are accumulating a huge merit, and also you are collecting wisdom, and these two really directly overcomes your the obstacles. And secondly, by doing the recitation with the reflecting on these meanings, your kind of recitation is combined with analytical meditation. You are really becoming a very powerful, I think, source to really destroy your negative deed. And that's why doing daily recitation is considered as the power of antidote, because it's really directly challenge the negative forces, including the wrong view and the wrong habit. And then you will see that when we do the recitation, there's the recitation of 100 syllables toward the end. Again, that is for purifying your negative deed. And I consider doing this kind of a recitation, especially during the purification session, you rely on the power of object. And the power of object is what we just talked about, the three refuges. They are the object for your the purification. And so you have the three the refuge, 3 gems or jewels already visualized in front of you, and you already took refuge in that. So you already done your kind of the relaying on the power of object. And then during the recitation itself, you're engaging in the power of antidote. During the 100th syllabus mantra, you're already doing the purification. And so this very short prayer session, you already engaged and have been doing a lot. And then what you have to do, the most important thing toward the end is to really properly dedicate all the merit and the merit and fortune that you collected. So when we do the recitation, read the first page, line 4, and it says, by the merit of the generosity in others by me, may I attain Buddhahood. So you're already dedicating this for the benefit of all the sentient beings, and that you're already collecting huge merit, at the same time generating merit, again dedicating this merit for the sentient beings, and you generate more merit out of doing that. And so if you continue your this short recitation every day, it involved both visualization, recitation, analytical in thinking, and so on. And if you continue these practices, that achieving a kind of realization is guaranteed, because it takes time, of course, slowly, but through this kind of a very slow I think a progress, we are becoming very steady and making a steady progress, and so you shouldn't really give up. As we talked during the mind training session, that by gradual effort we can make the like a long-lasting change. And so during this daily recitation and keeping the practices, we're making a slow but a very steady progress, and that really ensures a long-term benefit.
다 코란 겸이 군주 숨라 타주도 겸로라도 이치시고였나 아니 신동하라치 라마 군주 차와 라마 군주 차고 되네 쪼대셔 대표님이 차와 봐봐래 했으니 이치를 이제 들려러 왔습니다. 어디든지 로주들이 도스네요.
더디나 가르쳐 저 이치 계시고
아 이치가 대박이다. 겸이 군주 숨라 다 대박진 다 남아 마시나 다 남아 집에도 겸이 군주 숨라 이치가 대박 여봐야는다. 코란을 껴면 누가 차도 여봐야 네 두고였어요 했으니로 삼주셔나 두트는다.
So also it's mentioned in the sutra that having a strong faith and a devotion to Buddha and Dharma and the Sangha, it has an enormous benefit, because it says by going into refuge in the 3 objects and having a strong faith and a devotion, it really enables you to fulfill a lot of your wish as a byproduct in this life. There's a story in Tibet that in one area they really had a very drought, and people were really suffering through this summer drought, and so they invited the monk and asked him to do some kind of rain ritual, ritual for attaining rain. And he didn't know very much about the ritual, and all he had is one bell. So he took out his bell and stayed under a tree. And then he's saying, Lamas, Dharmas, Sanghas, please give me rain. And he was just shaking the bell. And all he can think of is because he had a very strong faith and devotion. And so he kind of calling their name and asking for their help. And then out of this, the devotion, that there was this huge heavy rain come out. And so this is just one example of when you have the proper faith and devotion, your kind of wishes also fulfilled through that. And it's just one example.
어디를 저단에 막 대신견에 사야들 말다 되는 거 바로바로 차서 아니 그런 넘버도 좀 땡겼다 지직 시대게 야보나 다 포나 전다 선도 땡기라고 해서
No. So I'm sorry, this has been a quite kind of it's like a keep going on, and but what I wanted to say here finally is that please continue your practices, including a practice of saying prayer and the daily recitation. And when you do the daily recitation, think logically, think about the reasons, and this is also very powerful. Just don't say it without thinking, but when you say the the words, the prayers, aspirational, think about the meaning, because you will get a lot of benefit out of that by doing so. So we have 10 minutes for question and answer.
Quick question.
Okay,
Shall
sure.
we do the recitations together?
Today?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Can do it. So should we do it before the question and answer session or afterward? The recitation.
That's up to you, sure.
So we do the
question and answer, then after we will take together recitation, then end of the dedication.
Yeah.
Okay.
Questions first.
So I thank you so much for reviewing the refuge. It was really beautiful to hear that. Made me happy that I took refuge back. I have a question about one of the things that was always really hard for me is the not taking refuge in like negative friends or like negative objects. Can you explain a little bit more what a negative object is? And also, like with negative friends, that's something that's always been hard for me to swallow. I feel like I would have no friends if I stopped like people who do bad deeds and things like that. And it feels like the opposite of like what the Bodhisattva vow is. So it's not so clear.
Yes, that's very good point. Grandi Gishilage Sunji today, I was now so I'm trying to Gambler Dumble to Shuni to the Gambler Dumble Limit or the Gambler Dumble Limit teacher as sometimes something that shows because it says and the net which you can give this one and the Gambler Dumble Kim Julia, the Gapsu Chimbe, and Capturia, telling a better of the Dame Pump, taking a better of a bed dance. 이거는 제시된 비율이라서 나라선데 이제 지나가 trouble mess. trouble mention 좀 trouble 상고에 맹인데 mess. 자 이내래야 뭐 좋아 타모데야 내가 좀 알아도 제주스면 더블레면 거려야 지 가지래라 두지도 방고 시도가 제주스면 더블 인도도 근데 야 지난 경로 더블레면 거려야 배터 뭐 제가 제주스면 더블레면 거려야 선제 도달에 미드 뷰 간토네 미드 도와세네 선제 도달도 봐 김이가 이제 3대 경향이
아니요. 다다나죠. 연디 군절에 캡수 드롭이 갑라 님이 저거 빵수해야 되라. 판단되라 페나 페나 미치 포지티 냐바 이비 오기 이게 페나 다 자제 군이 쇼라다. 자제 군이 되라. 아니 코에 냐바 되셨으니 디 삼로 디레 마당스니 미치 페나 자제 군이 미지다. 미니어라. 페나 미지기로 독재 제배 오기 코에 독재에서 삼로 단계로 말했어요.
독재 제배 보면 하나무도
독재에서 삼로 말했어요. 네 삼로다. 아니 퍼즐의 디필레 소소 디필레로 꼬이고드나 내가 마체로는 많이 봐야나 내가 샤유를 마도 또 마체마제로나 두냐는 수자리게 내가 이러왔으니 배나 가르스나 뭐에 단다 라레 소디만을 가르스면서나 가서 소소기고 탐마와들라 간세나 퍼즐이 쪼시고 랑디 미질레와야나 디 미딜라 팔랍제 갸바야나 수자리게 이러왔으니 유르냐 빵데 녀모 링기지서 유르냐 바데 빵데 조고로 송샤야로 왔으니 나 소소기고 탐마와들 장주선바 임바이나니 이제 코로나니 미질레바인 뒤뒤문에 소고고멜라 편주가 셈 검사와 인사 소고고멜라 배 당도 가서 이게 유 약속을 쳐야 돼요. 맞아 소라이나 미디 유니 파 도주를 로버스는 송샤야 대다 찍바를 했어요. 유 디비 저거 얘기를 되는 거라 마실라니 얘기 많이 세 미진 바이는 이 샤미스도 로주래서 디비 저거 들었은 거였어요.
디베 저거서 소소 내게 그러네 디글레치
오다 딜소로다 다 딜레 체딩이다. 딜레 체딩이나 마실은 거 닝마로 어 딜레가로 마실 라바이나 저도 가려서 가려야 얘기가요. 그래도 샤니 침바이는 디비 저거 한 거로 왔어요.
So when we talk about the negative friend, avoiding negative friend, having taken refuge in Sangha, what we mean here is when you are in touch with other people. It's a negative friend, meaning negative people. You can consider just any other people, and any people who harm themselves, and you are not able to help them stop harming themselves. And also the danger is that it may harm you as well. And as a preliminary, as a beginner, as a practitioner, as a beginning practitioner, we are not really well equipped to help others. And at this stage, as a beginner, first thing is we really have to protect ourselves from being influenced and being drawn in that negative deed. So who's a negative, like a sinner, if you like, is someone who harms himself and harms other people, and you are not in kind of a good shape to go and help them. Not only that, you also have the tendency of being influenced by that person. And for a beginner practitioner, we are advised to first thing is to avoid being exposed or having contact with this kind of a negative sinner, the direct translation, or negative friend, meaning someone who you just hang around with. And then you made a very important point about for the Bodhisattvas, because this is also if you look at the 37 the practices of Bodhisattva, the Gyaltsen Tonglen Sangpo mentioned right at the beginning that for a beginner practitioner, you should really avoid the union, but it's a bad environment. Bad environment meaning like environment, the human environment where you are very vulnerable, but there's a very strong, I think this negative, like a prone to kind of negative action. That environment is so strong there, and for the beginner, they say avoid that. And here, this also goes along with the refuge advice: avoid the negative, friend or negative or sinner, so that you wouldn't be, subdued or under that influence. And then later, when you are really practicing Bodhisattva actions indeed, so on, and you become really a serious practitioner, then sometimes being in this kind of environment gives you the advantage. For example, if you are practicing patience and being among the crowds of easily frustrated people, if you're able to, at that level, you're no longer a beginner. If you're able to turn the circumstances for your own kind of practices, you can utilize the circumstances for your practices. But that's much later. And as preliminary practitioners or the beginner practitioners taking refuge, and the first thing really to do is avoid these negative friends, negative sinners. That's what we mean by avoid a negative friend. Any other questions?
Can I ask, you mentioned, we talked beautifully a lot about refuge, taking refuge, and one of the first outcomes in taking refuge in the Buddha Dharma Sangha is that you said we won't go to the three lower realms. Yeah? Can you explain how that works a little bit?
Sure.
That would be lovely.
킹마스는 교주고 그랬어. 교빈 누가 콜라요 했습니다. 교빈 누가 카이사나 상기기 틀레즈도와 인세트도 니마셔와 상기기 틀렌디 디스모로 왔던다 주소 참고보고 이문도 제나라 프로젝트라는데 하스나 투비투 유미세 디시고로 치시데 레리기미 쳐버 되었음으로 왔으니 상기기 틀렌디 인세트도 상기라 포보와 레스니로 상기기 심지 용어에 야마 우주지 땅바이나 어떠이나 식시버를 콜라 가자 율 가자 사진 연바들 균땅 말했으니 어디서 샤이르스니 팀사 사진 연바가 맞다나 그 심지는 미리 멤버이자 심지지 연소로 조어서 심지 샹데디 연소로 마로지 같은 시 말했으니 그러 냠바스니 시르스니 콜라 디리 누버지르스니 니마샤르인데 가실레 니마포 다 백한반으로 주되는 다음에 출로 줘봐이나 저때 님이 왜 표고 바라왔으니 어디 뺏으시는 님이 외세디 갖두이나 다 심지라 포고가 인사 코랑 다 심지 영원에 우주 땅바인 바이나 기분이 거 차단해야 됐으니
Yes, your question about how Buddhas can save by going to refuge in Buddha Dhamma Sangha, save the beings from reborn in the lower realm. And so what I'm referring to here is that Buddha can protect you from being born in a lower realm, if you like. This is because when we talk about the Buddha's activities, the quality of the Buddha's activities, this is very refinedly mentioned by Maitreya in his Paramita, that Buddha, having realized the omniscience, he also kind of now possessed this unlimited activity, like the power of the Buddha's activity, is so strong. Only example that Maitreya could find is the sun. When the sun comes out, and if you're in a leveled playing field, everyone would receive the same amount of the sun ray or the light. And likewise, Buddha already having that power of this amazing power and energy. And when you actually make your move by going into refuge in him, he would not bear you going to suffer. And so you remember, as part of the Buddha's quality, that Buddha has this enormous impartial compassion, a loving compassion to all kinds of beings, and also have the desire to save them and have the ability really to help. And so once you made your move, and his chile is like a power in some ways, is already there, and the power is impartial. It doesn't discriminate one to another, and it's always shining. And with this kind of a power, he would not let you suffer. And so he has the compassion, he has the ability. So with this logic, he can save you from being reborn in three lower realms. So for the recitation, let's go by English, so that you also have a meaning. I'm saying, should we go to all the entire or just some part of it? One of the recitation we wanted to do is the brief recitation of Tara, and everyone has a page. That's a very short one. If you recite it for a couple of days, you'll easily memorize it.
It's only in Tibetan, we don't have English for it.
Oh,
No English.
I see. Okay, so here we have the transliterate or what the phonetic.
Transliteration, yeah.
And so for our practices, you can recite from that, and then you can maybe gain the meaning from other texts or equal texts. I'm sure this is translated. If you go to Google, you'll find it. So Geshe-la saying this is very powerful, prayer, very short. You will easily be able to memorize, and if you do it on a daily basis, it has enormous benefit for you.
Angela, can you translate the title for us?
Oh, can I have a copy? Actually, I have this. Okay. The title is the a brief praise for 21 Tara. Brief praise of, or a brief praise of 21 Tara. And I can translate the literal meaning now. So I asked Geshe-la actually to give us the meaning of the lines. The first one is the Namo Aya Tariya, basically in Sanskrit. Omje Duma is like Duma, the J is the like a Jerimbuchi for Lama Tsongkhapa. J is the precious, the most kind. Duma is who possess all the wonderful qualities. Pama is the Arya, like someone who is like the most outstanding quality. You, the Tara, have all these qualities. So I wanted to go refuge and prostrate to you.
차들 좀 따라 보면라야지. 니처럼라 차세고 어디 딱처럼라 누가 친구 싶어도 쓰네 보면라야지. 뭐 changes 뭐 빠고 쓰는거. 차들 좀 따라 보면.
So I wanted to prostrate and bow to you, Tari, the heroine. Here, heroine meaning you are the one who has the most amazing ability. I'm, bowing to you because you have this most amazing ability.
차들 좀 따라. 되다라에 지구인 셀마나 딱처럼라 탄다. 직바 게 차단 세요 네버도 쓰네로. 지구인 셀마나 직바 들었다. 뇌세계 지구, 세단지 지구, 차도 지구, 마지리 지구, 티무지 지구, 그 직바 게 숨샤로 직바 차는 다 껴베 네버처럼도 쓰네로.
Then the next line is Chutari is like a name for a Tara. It's a Tara. I wanted to prostrate to you because you have the ability to pacify or save us from the 8 fears. The 8 fears, the fears from the attachment or desire, the fears from the ignorance, the fears from the hatred. And you have this ability to really pacify all these fears. That's where I wanted to follow you.
두려트는 탐제 때마스에데 캐란지 강소소기 삼로나라다 유기 전자차나 캐란지 수때투고도 세네 죽투고도 세네.
And then the next line is you have the ability to offer or to grant all the kind of wishful meanings. That whatever the things that we desire, you are able to give it to us.
어때? 다 소화이 졸라 rab도 수행데 다 나라겠다 가로다 가리 있는 캐나다라 모두 구두식이면 숨고서 소화이 졸라 rab도.
And then the next line is that I'm only going to console you. I'm only going to follow you.
어때 인사 다 디 드라마다 signa마도 말디 대원 소소의 세링 내면 세디기 된다다 세지마 된다다 다 숨게도 단 주저 드라마 랑이 나 조조 받아야지서 뭐마 숨고에 주저 드라마 숨겨 걸어 주저 드라마 랑이 살이세네로 니마 지크로스 쉬쉬 가는 조저 받아야지 시원용시시 펠로티네 아니다 주저 드라마 모습에 다 드라마 랑이다 드라마 티지 사고로 숨어서로 다 드라마 예반이 조즈번에 니마지라 티지 사모토 바이다 가르치고 그랬으니 난 저도 좀 말해 걔랑 디사토나 디기레스네다 무엇을 막 숨겨드려야 사다 진짜 지나치고 싶으래 근데 무슨 모두 쓰네요.
So this Tara prayer is very precious because this was actually taught by Tara herself. And the history goes like this. When Lama Atisha, the Grand Master Atisha, went through a very serious disease, and then because Lama Atisha is a main deity, if you like, is the Tara. So he was asking Tara, how can I overcome this illness? And Tara said, you need to recite 10,000 times of the Tara mantra, the long version. But he couldn't do this. She said, you have to do 10,000 of the longer version of the Tara prayer for every day. And it's too long, he couldn't do it. And then she came up with this idea, the Tara herself. So how about I give you instruction doing a shorter one, only 5 lines, but which consists all other qualities. And so she taught this to Lama Atisha, who was able to overcome his illness and obstacles. And since Lama Atisha has been sharing this amazing mantra, the secret instruction, to his followers. In that way, we consider this as a very, a sacred and important prayer.
This is somewhere in that Masochik
and so, as the benefit of saying this, it's really it lengthens your lifespan, the longevity, and it's really by saying this prayer, you are better protected against from various disease and so on, and it also kind of help you to protect from various obstacles and tragedies.
And
also by daily saying this prayer, it is said that it helps you to gather wealth and fame and other gains as well. And in Tibetan community, we use Tara sadhanas and prayers purely to generate wealth. And they are kind of very zealous practitioners. And their intention is just saying and doing this prayer so that they become well off. From a Dharma practitioner's point of view, this is obviously wrong. We shouldn't really have with that kind of intention for our practices.
심지어 탐지기 텐도 삼로 땅바에는 코 모두 다들 안식이 두두가 고 이담 인상 모두 안식이 두두가 했으니로 모두기 라기 담스무도 왔으니.
So when we practice Tara, and we should really think about all the sentient beings, the benefit for all the sentient beings, and that should be our intention. And you still get all the benefit by doing that, and even more, because the Tara is a feast-giving deity, it's a Hector, the feast-giving deity, the deity which kind of
abundance.
And if you do that with intention for all the sentient beings, and that's correct, and you still get the the benefit out of it.
Now we go to page number 4. This Tara's prayer in for English.
Page
number 4. Then the Heart Sutra one is 4 pages over beginning. Then short Tayata Gade Gade Para Gade Para. Then we're going to the dedication. It's so late here. Dedication is very important. 셰레님도 마선 주면 직시대 강한데가 찍더라고. 근데 안 되면 와들 끼마 따야다가 되게 para가데 끼마들도
와. 근데 이게 일이 배워 말아요. 초다 님만 독스텐데도 맞지는. 이게 차단되는 거다. 이거 배워 말아.
셰레님도 직시대.
이주거스테. Okay, so what Kishira was advising for tonight practices, we will recite page 37 and 38. This is the Tara practices. We will use this one tonight. since it's English.
Or 4 and 5 at the top.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
The top numbers.
4 and 5. And then shodan chobu doya ba.
아니 쇼는 좁고 곧 색시디체.
The first 4 lines of the page number 6.
이게 7 디시 7 나와지도 아니 디버지도
So we do not need to recite page number 6. We will recite the first 4 verses of page 7.
아니 주도디 프로젝트 맞아 가려 디미디 주시는 말이야.
Then we go to page 16. So you have a page number 7, line 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in Sanskrit we're not going to do that. Then we go to page 16.
주도디 고치 못 나지고
And in page 16 we only recite the
mantra.
And after the mantra, then
되네. 아 20상은 나오잖아. 아니 마예 모아디션 샤샤가.
And then after page 16, we move to page 25, the dedication. And page 25, the verse number 5.
And 27.
And then 27.
Dedication.
Dedication. 차단을.
Now that's 60 more than
The first 4 lines of page number 27.
When we will start. Did you got it, everybody? Okay. Then Hector is the chanting master, okay? Did you get? Page number 4.
Got it, page number 4. Are we English or?
Yeah, it's English. We can start.
In the pure land of Patala.
In the pure land of Patala, you move from the green tongue syllable, liberating sentient beings by the light of the tongue syllable. Please approach noble Tara with your retinue. The jeweled ones of the gods and Osiris, bow down to your feet, holy street. You free all beings from trouble and misfortune. To you I prostrate, Avatar. Hare Hare Swaha.
Then
7.
7.
When you do this verse, you should think about the wisdom emptiness.
Yes, okay.
Inconceivable, inexpressible, Prajnaparamita, unborn, unceasing, by nature like the sky, experienced by self-awareness, discerning, Mother of the victorious ones of beauty times, I make proposition to you.
Then we're going to 16, yeah?
16.
Page number 16.
16, yeah?
Just the top, yeah?
Yeah.
Tadyata Om Gate Gate Para Gate Para Samgate Bodhi Swaha. 25?
25. Now this is some can you see 24th third page? This
Number 3 on page 24.
Yes. You remember we talked about Dharma being the medicine for. So this is a text actually relating to that.
Shantideva.
By Shantideva.
The sole remedy for the suffering of sentient beings, the source of every joy, is the teaching. May it remain harmoniously upheld and flourish for a long time. May all the numberless beings who are sick be quickly freed from sickness. May all the afflictions of all sentient beings never rise again. May all sentient beings always be joyful. May all births into the lower realms cease forever. May the wishes of all the bodhisattvas in all the bhumis swiftly reach fruition.
Then it's page number 26, page 7.
Number 7 on page 26. The precious bodhicitta in those without it may be generated, in those who have it may never diminish, but always continue increasing. Just as the Bodhisattva Manjushri attained his realization, and likewise, in order to train myself to follow them, I dedicate all these merits for the happiness of sentient beings. Yeah.
And you're singing, okay?
I'll sing, you sing.
New singing.
You have to start new singing, I'm so bad. Okay. Sunam yeshe sotsokshien, Sunam yeshe lejenwe, Tamba kuni toba sho, Sashi puji chushe meto tamai rirali shi nile yenpali, Sangye shindu nite ruwayi, Roken manda shimba chuba sho.
Yedama Guru
Ratmananda
Kane Yadaya.
Thank you for teaching, Krishna.
I'm sorry, today I took a lot of time, I'm so sorry.
You have one?
I have it at home.
Okay, great, thank you.
What are you guys doing next week? Anything?
Nothing next week. The following week I start Dharma Kata Sutra. Yeah. So the 6th of June. But next week there's nothing here. Next Thursday.
Yeshua wanted to say that through the teaching, you have made a very generous offering to him, and he collected all the offerings. They are about $700 US in total, and he used the money towards the cost of publishing a collected prayer book in Tibetan for the Tibetan communities around the world. He edited and created one volume, and he and another friend printed it, and they shipped it from India to New York. He offered over 200 copies to the Tibetan community in New Jersey and in New York. Another copy to Tibetan Women's I was going to say Tibetan Women's Liberation. Tibetan Women's Association. And so all the money that you offered him were used for a very good purpose. And he wanted to dedicate this on behalf of everyone, and thank you for making the offering.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
This is a CD of the Bodhicitta.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
And
Thank you so much.
Some extra.
Thank you.
And one CD for you.
Thank you.
It's your classes. Just so he can review what he's taught and
Yes.
keep up the good work. And Hector, you had an announcement? We have a class coming?
There's no class here at all next Thursday.
Yeah.
There's nothing happening on Thursday. But the following Thursday we start Asian Classics Institute Course 6. That's the 6th of the 6th, Course 6. just for those who want to be numerical.
It's 60 Diamond Cutter Sutra.
Yeah, and it's the Diamond Cutter Sutra, the Prajna Paramita, the perfection of wisdom. Yeah?
It's going to be 666.
How awesome is that? But we're going to turn it upside down, it'll be 999.
And will Geshe-la be back?
Not sure, we haven't invited him yet, so maybe you can all ask him to be back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come
So,
back.
yeah.